Well, this evening I'm joined in the studio by the man whose job it is to make sure that the global nuclear security framework is working. That's the head of the International Atomic Energy Agency, Rafael Grossi. Welcome to France 24, Mr. Grossi. Thank you so much for coming. I know you're a very busy man. We do appreciate the time you've taken. There are three real areas that we'd like to look at today. Iran, Ukraine, North Korea, and perhaps some more. If we can start by looking at Iran, and of course under the JCPOA deal, the Iran nuclear deal, Iran agreed to limit its nuclear program, that in return for the lifting of some sanctions. Since the US pulled out, Iran doesn't really feel bound by that. Can you just update our viewers?
Yes.
Where are we now on Iran's nuclear program?
Indeed, you're giving some context, and it's very accurate. There was an agreement, this famous JCPOA, that was aiming at trying to contain Iran's nuclear program, which has been for many, many years under the scrutiny of the international community, and of course the agency that I lead, through a series of inspections. There were moments where Iran was found in contravention or in non-compliance with its international obligations in the past. We came to this agreement. This agreement was or entered a sort of a limbo when the United States withdrew from it in 2018, and then Iran started, if I may put it in this way, retaliating by ceasing to abide by this agreement, thereby reopening the possibility that they would do a number of things which could be of some concern. For example, enriching uranium at very, very high levels. You know that the levels of uranium enrichment, I don't want to be too technical, but when you reach a certain level of an isotope of the uranium, you have something that you can use in a nuclear bomb. And Iran is not a nuclear weapon state. Iran is a party to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, so in principle, it should be covered in this sense. But there have been all these disagreements. My inspectors found traces of highly enriched uranium or processed uranium in places that were not supposed to have had uranium. So many questions growing around the program. And we have been trying to work, of course, as we should, with Iran to try to solve them with, I would say, mixed success. In some cases we have been able, and in some cases we haven't. And we are at this point at a moment where there are still important question marks. They remain open. We are trying, of course, to work. We are an international organization. We believe in diplomatic solutions to problems. But here we have a situation that is not in the place we would like it to be.
So I think from what you're saying, you're not getting cooperation from Iran. You also said recently that Iran now has enough weapons-grade uranium to, if it continues at that pace, make 3 atomic bombs.
Let me clarify that. They have the material, which is very important, of course, because only nuclear weapon states or states that have weapons have this material in a certain sense. In the case of Iran, this does not equate. It doesn't mean that they have nuclear weapons, but that they have a certain capability that, of course, is a source of concern. So what we say is, Iran, you have to cooperate, and to cooperate fully with us if what you want, as they say, at the highest levels. I've been in Tehran many times, and I've had important conversations with President Raisi, with Foreign Minister Amir Abdullahian, and they always say, of course, they are sure that their intentions are peaceful. But, of course, we believe in everybody, but we verify everything, and we have to. So this is what we say. Iran needs to cooperate fully.
But what leverage do you have? They're not cooperating. They're not letting some of your inspectors
Well, I think we do. We do have a lot of leverage in the sense that when the IAEA inspections do not get to satisfactory results, a country can be found in non-compliance with its international commitments, and it can end itself before the Security Council of the United Nations. Or it can have sanctions, etc., things that Iran, no country in the world, wants to have. So apart from that, what we are saying is that Iran says that they want to be treated as a normal country, they want to be treated as a country in compliance with their obligations. So what we say is open up your facilities, collaborate with the IAEA at the levels that you should.
I think we have little time, so I'd like to move on now to Ukraine. You led a team of inspectors into Ukraine to look
Yes.
at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant in Russian-occupied southern Ukraine. How concerned are you about that situation?
Well, I continue to be. This is a combat zone,
Yeah.
all right?
Yeah.
And this nuclear power plant has been attacked. And this nuclear power plant, because of the war around it, has lost all supply of external power, thereby risking the possibility of a meltdown. So what the IAEA has been trying to do from day one is to avoid, to prevent a nuclear accident with radiological consequences to happen. And this is what we are doing so far. I cannot say mission accomplished until the war is over, until these risks cease. But at least we can say that the international community has a presence there through the IAEA.
We have very little time. Perhaps you could just tell us how concerned you are at the IAEA about North Korea's recent behavior.
Well, North Korea is a very regrettable case, because until a few years ago, it had not trespassed the red line. It was a case, if you want, like Iran, there were negotiations, there were talks, but at some point they decided to go in this way and to develop nuclear weapons. And now we have a country that has a very large arsenal. What I'm saying is that we have to re-engage with North Korea. We have to open up avenues of dialogue in order to try to contain this process, so to avoid a nuclear conflict in the Korean Peninsula.
If we just go back a little to what you were saying about Iran, is there a feeling that the West is reluctant to incur Iran's wrath at the moment because of the situation in the Middle East, because it fears escalation in the Israel-Gaza conflict or the Israel-Hamas conflict, or indeed any other conflicts around there, that there is a reluctance in the West to, at the moment...
well, it would be a bit difficult for me to judge intentions or at this level. What I can say is that we need to regain a degree of international consensus, a degree of international cooperation which existed, so that we can work together with Iran, as it was the case at the time of the JCPOA or before that as well, so that there are no divisions. When there are divisions in the international community vis-à-vis Iran, of course, it's more difficult to bring them to the levels of cooperation which we indispensably need.
We have the COP28
Yes.
summit coming up, as well as checking, monitoring, looking after the international nuclear security framework. You also have some involvement in, although there is a separate agency as well that
Yes.
deals with that, but you have involvement in promoting nuclear energy as part of a climate change action.
Of course.
What do you hope from COP28
Well, I think
on that?
COP28 is a place where we are going to see countries recognizing the important role that nuclear energy is playing now. Nuclear energy is providing 25% of the clean energy produced in the world. And here in Europe, half of the clean energy that is produced in this continent is of nuclear origin. For the first time at the COP, the countries that use nuclear energy are going to say nuclear energy is part of the solution we so much need.
Okay, well, thank you so much indeed for your time. We really do appreciate it. Rafael Grossi there joining us from the International Atomic Energy Agency. He is here in Paris. And will you be attending the COP28
Yes, I
summit?
will be there, and I hope to be there with President Emmanuel Macron, whom I saw just today, for these important announcements.
Well, thank you very much.